Until March 2026, any player who simply boots up Pokemon TCG Live will receive 8 decks featuring these cards for free. That's in addition to the 2 free decks on every Battle Pass, which changes every 2 to 3 months. For this video, I'll be showing you how to upgrade those 2025 starter decks so you can start climbing the ranked ladder without spending more than 1,000 trade credits on each. Feet down, Raging Bolt EX is the best free deck, and you should expect to face it every day. The basic strategy is to get a bunch of energy into play, then discard it, dealing 70 damage for each one you send to the bin. Getting rid of 4 energy is 280 damage, enough to deal with most non-stage 2s in the game. And 5 energy is 350 damage, one-shotting everything else including our Charizard EX, Dragapult EX, and Charizard EX. You accelerate that energy a few different ways. On the Pokemon side, Teal Mask Ogerpon EX takes a Grass Energy from hand, attaches it to itself, and draws a card. You can do this once per Ogerpon per turn. Additionally, you have Professor Sada's Vitality and Crispin. Sada takes up to 2 energy from your discard pile and attaches them to up to 2 different ancient Pokemon. Raging Bolt is an ancient Pokemon, so you want to try and ensure you always have 2 Raging Bolt in play when using Sada, which also draws you 3 cards. Otherwise, if there's still energy in your deck, go with Crispin. It accelerates 1 energy from deck and puts the other into your hand. In order to get those trainers, you have Noctowl. As long as there's a Terra Pokemon in play, which Ogerpon is, Noctowl grabs any 2 trainers from deck upon evolution. So you can get an Earthen Vessel and a Sada's Vitality, or a Crispin and a Prime Catcher, or whatever else is good for the situation. Looking at the free version, everything you need is here. The glass trumpets are a little weird, though they do allow you to accelerate energy from the discard pile to Noctowl. Otherwise, the vast majority of cards you see here make up a Tier 1 Raging Bolt deck. Case in point, this is what Raging Bolt looks like after making the best, cheapest upgrades. For the purposes of this video, I won't make every single change to every single deck because your trade credits are important. But if my math is correct, it takes just 940 credits to make this deck something that could easily go out and do well in a limitless tournament. And there's only a footful of cards you need to add. First up is 1 copy of Fezandipiti EX, which is already in your collection thanks to the Gholdengo deck. Fezandipiti is one of the most played cards in Standard, drawing you 3 cards if one of your Pokemon was just knocked out. Then there's Latias EX, which does cost 600 credits. But like Fezandipiti, it's played in numerous decks, so pretty much every player needs one in their collection anyways. It'll never attack though, meaning it is a liability against stall decks, but it gives all of your basic Pokemon free retreat, making it super powerful. As for a few other cards you need to craft to get 1 more Fan Rotom at 40 credits. On turn 1, it can take you to Hooters and get Hoothoot or Noctowl out of your deck, helping your setup. Not only that, its attack does 70 damage for a single energy, great for dealing with low HP basics. Sitting at 100 credits, Koraidon's a great backup attacker, able to deal 180 damage for 2 energy if Raging Bolt attacked the previous turn. And 2 Jamming Tower for 200 credits allow you to shut off all those pesky tools your opponent wants to use. So yeah, for less than 1,000 trade credits, which you can easily earn in-game by buying 2 Shadow Rider lead battle decks, you can make Raging Bolt amazing. For a couple of other changes, chuck in 1 copy of Ditto from 151, 1 Baby Raging Bolt, and 1 Turo Scenario. The Turo is already in your collection, while the Ditto and Baby Bolt are 400 credits each. They're not 100% necessary, they just help with consistency and taking cheeky KOs. If Raging Bolt is the best free deck, Dragapult is right behind it. Not only do they lack a weakness, unless your opponent has Lily's Clefairy EX in play, but they're just all around amazing cards. As you can see from the list, pretty much everything you need to get started and dominate with Dragapult is included. Honestly, if all you did was add 2 copies of Dracloak for 80 credits, you would win a ton of games with it. But if you want to make your Dragapult deck Tier 1, it's going to take a little bit more work. Before you decide to play Dragapult, just be aware that it's not as easy as subscribing to me. In a world where taking big one-hit KOs is the norm, Dragapult only does 200 damage. The added benefit is that Phantom Dive spreads 6 damage counters to their bench Pokemon. This is important because a lot of basic Pokemon used to evolve into strong Stage 1s or Stage 2s have 60 or 70 hit points. So if you go first and get a Dragapult into play on turn 2, there's a chance you can knock out, say, a Pidgey and a Charmander, putting yourself so far ahead that they might just concede. Dragapult's the main reason why decks are running the typically suboptimal 70 hit point version of basics, so they don't immediately get knocked out by Phantom Dive pings. But Dragapult can chuck in a copy of Hawlucha, which puts a damage counter on 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon, getting them within range. So this deck is going to require a little bit of patience and a lot of math, especially when you factor in Dusclops and Dusknoir. Because Dragapult only does 200 damage, you need ways to deal with the larger threats like Charizard EX. While they do give up a prize card in the process, which isn't necessarily a bad thing as it can activate Counter Catcher or make Iono stronger, Dusclops and Dusknoir knock themselves out to place either 5 or 13 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. This is extremely important as it allows you to Dusclops something like a benched Recloaked and clean it up with Phantom Dive Pains. Or you can use Dusknoir to leave Charizard EX with 200 hit points. Or you can be super spicy, Dusknoir something on the bench like Squawkabilly EX or Mew EX and take 2 prizes on them. Like I said, while it's one of the top decks in Standard, Dragapult is not beginner friendly. Unlike most Stage 2 decks, Dragapult EX doesn't rely too heavily on rare candy. It's still included, allowing you to warp Digivolve from Dreepy into Dragapult, but you typically only have 2 copies. There's a couple reasons for this. First up, Badoo. For 0 energy, Badoo deals 10 damage and item locks. Get ready to see this card a lot in 2025. Item locking is extremely powerful, meaning you can't use Nest Ball or Earthen Vessel or Rare Candy. A lot of other decks play 1 copy of Badoo. Perhaps ironically, Dragapult typically has 2 of these little idiots. It's just the perfect card for slowing your opponent down while you get set up. Another reason you don't lure youngsters into your precious trolley with rare candy is Recloaked. This is the butt bone of a Dragapult deck. Its ability allows you to look at the top 2 cards of your deck and draw one of them, so you don't need to rely on other draw Pokemon like the Dunsparce or Revavroom. Recloaked fills that need. There's also Technical Machine Evolution, which you'll mostly only use turn 1 going second to evolve your Dreepy into Recloaked. Since it can be grabbed off of Arven, it's an almost guaranteed 1-of in Dragapult decks. This does prevent you from item locking your opponent with Badoo though, but depending on the situation, it could be stronger to set up than to screw them over. Finally, the energy situation. The free version includes Sparkling Crystal, Crispin, and Xatu, which is a little overkill. Xatu is the least necessary of the bunch. Yeah, it's strong, able to accelerate a Psychic Energy to a bench Pokemon and draw you cards, but it's another stage 1 you have to get set up. No, it's much easier to rely on Crispin and Crystal. Crispin grabs 2 different energy from deck. One is put into your hand while the other is attached to a Pokemon. Just be aware that if you only grab 1 energy from deck with Crispin, the lone energy is put into your hand, not attached. Then there's Sparkling Crystal. Since Dragapult's a Terra, you can attach the crystal and now its attack cost goes down by 1 of any energy, allowing you to use Phantom Dive for a single Fire or Psychic. Okay, as a reminder, this is the free Dragapult EX deck you get for playing Pokemon TCG Live before March 2026. It's almost perfect as is, but with a few changes, this is what you get. The Xatu line is gone, there's Forge or Cloak, Fezandipiti is added for additional card draw, 2 Badoo buy you time, and Jacques helps get evolutions out of the decks under item lock. What's crazy is that even with all of these changes, it costs just 260 credits. Now, I will say that I left out the more expensive cards that you might have to craft. If you want to make some other changes, put in that copy of Hawlucha, which is 400 credits. Or add a Blood Moon Ursaluna EX, which is 600 credits. This big basic has 260 hit points and can launch a 240 damage attack for as little as 0 energy. Like Kenley Jansen, it's a great closer. Finally, if you're finding Dragapult way too easy and you want a challenge, use Monkey Dory, which is 400 credits. It'll force you to take your math skills to another level, but it can be really useful in the mirror match. Ursaluna and Monkey Dory are used in plenty of other decks too, so don't be afraid to craft them now so they're in your collection for later. Sticking with Stage 2 Terra Pokemon, we have Charizard EX. It's been given away multiple times in the past, but I'm choosing to treat the upgrades as if this is the first time you, the very attractive viewer of this video, has been able to claim it. If you were paying attention during my Dragapult upgrade, you should be able to spot a couple of immediate problems, mainly the Pidgey. It only has 50 hit points, meaning it's immediately bodied by a Dusclops. Or they can use Phantom Dive Pains to deal 50, KO it, and spread an extra 10 to a Charmander, setting it up for a KO the following turn if it's not evolved. So you want to switch to the worst Pidgey. I know, Call for Family is a much better attack, but these are the things you have to do in a world with Dragapult and Dusclops. Thankfully, the correct Charmander is included as it has 70 hit points. But then there's Rabska. While Rabska is great in certain situations, able to protect your bench Pokemon from damage and damage counters, you have to evolve it through Rellor. So if you're facing Dragapult, you have to do everything in your power to evolve the damn thing right away, otherwise they can easily KO your Rellor. And no Rellor has more than 50 hit points, meaning it's Dusclops fodder. While Rabsga is necessary in lower HP decks, for Charizard it's more of a luxury. There's many ways to play Charizard in 2025, including with Dragapult or with Terrapodos and Noctowl, but I'll be sticking with the Pidgeot build. All the different versions are great, I just want to keep things as simple as possible for now. Alright, for those of you who haven't used it before, Charizard EX is an insane card. When you evolve into it from hand, you can accelerate 3 fire energy from your deck to your Pokemon however you want. Its attack only requires 2 energy, so there's 1 extra to play around with. And the attack is great, just not at first. If your opponent hasn't taken any prize card, Burning Darkness does 180 base damage. You're not KOing many meaningful 2-prize Pokemon except Squawkabilly and Mew EX. That's where Dusclops and Dusknoir come in. Kinda similar to how they're used in Dragapult, but not entirely. Both of them give up that prize card and hit someone for either 5 or 13 damage counters. While it does help soften up a big target, the added bonus is that giving up a prize card increases Charizard's damage by 30. This allows you to control how much damage Charizard's dealing without relying on your opponent taking prizes. Ultimately, if they've taken 5 prizes and have 1 remaining, Charizard's dealing 330 damage, enough to one-shot everybody meaningful. Of course, things don't stop there. Pidgeot EX is a great partner for Charizard. While the attack sucks, the ability is amazing. Every single turn, you can go get any card you want from your deck. Doesn't matter if it's a Pokemon, supporter, item, tool, energy, or one of your balls, Pidgeot can grab it. This massively improves Charizard's consistency, you just have to be a little experienced to know which card is the best for each situation. While there are more rare candy in Charizard compared to Dragapult, you still rely on TM evolution because Badoo is evil. The Charmeleon, meanwhile, isn't as good as Dracloak, but its ability does protect it against effects of attacks, including the damage counter pings from Dragapult's Phantom Dive. Now, if you want to win regularly with Charizard, you have to know how to use Briar. When your opponent has exactly 2 prize cards remaining, you can play it. Then if you take a knockout with a Terra Pokemon, which Charizard is, you get an extra prize card. So if they have 2 prize cards remaining and you have 3, you can knock out a 2-prizer with Charizard and win the game. This is also where Dusclops and Dusknoir become even more importanter. Let's say they have 3 prizes left. Well, you can blow up a Dusknoir, thus forcing them onto 2 prizes and activating Briar. Otherwise, for the most part, Charizard is a fairly straightforward deck. The only time you have to stress your brain is when it comes to using Briar properly. Okay, you know the extra drill. This is the free Charizard EX deck you get for playing TCG Live before March 2026. All the components are here, it just has a bit too much energy and a fairly unnecessary 1/1 Rabsca line. For the upgraded version, you add our good friend Fezandipiti, which is already in your collection. A 2/1/1 line of Dusknoir, which again is already in your collection, and Jacques for finding evolutions. In total, all of these changes will cost you just 280 credits, which you can find in your couch cushions. Admittedly, I didn't go too crazy with the updates. Because I'm assuming everyone watching this is new to the game, I left Cleffa, Mew EX, and Maximum Belt in the deck. Cleffa attacks for free and draws you up to 7, making it a great option turn 1 going second if TM evolution isn't possible. Mew EX draws you up to 3 cards in hand with its ability, and its attack copies any attack of your opponent's active. It does take 3 energy, but Charizard can power it up with Infernal Rain. And I kept Maximum Belt. This tool is just an easy plus 50 damage against EX Pokemon, allowing you to take big KOs without too much thinking. For a potential change, I suggest swapping out one of the 90 hit point Charmeleon for the 100 hit point Charmeleon. That's because Charizard doesn't have the best matchup against something like Mimikyu. This new Charmeleon allows you to one-shot Mimikyu, though it does require 3 energy. Similarly, you can make like Ash Ketchum and Chi-Use this Chi-Yu. For 2 fire energy, it does 140 damage if any of your Pokemon were just knocked out. If you want to get spicy, throw in a copy of Mist Energy. It protects against effects of attacks, including status conditions, damage counters, and one-hit KO moves. It's a higher skill card, but can save your bacon if used properly. Otherwise, Ursaluna is a great backup attacker in every deck, while Kieran is a switch card or a 30 damage boost. Looking at the A specs, take your pick. Precious Trolley, which you will have to spend 600 credits to craft, is one of the best. Grab it with Arven turn 1 going second, fill up your bench with 5 basic Pokemon. If you ever find your Charizard deck is getting off to slow starts, this is the best way to smooth them out. Another one you'd have to craft is Hero's Cape, which gives anyone plus 100 hit points, making them that much tougher to KO. Prime Catcher, meanwhile, is the best all-around A-spec, allowing you to bring up anyone on their side of the field. Basically, just because your favorite PTCGL player showed you one build of Charizard, it doesn't mean you can't whack off and have fun with the Hot Lizard. For the love of Arceus, if you plan on playing Gholdengo EX in 2025, swap out the 50 hit point Gimme Duel for either of the 70 hit point ones. I don't care which one. The minor errand running one is better because it adds energy to your hand, but if you want to YOLO and try to flip 15 heads in a row, go for the continuous coin toss one. As long as you have a Gimme Duel that is out of Dusclops and Dragapult range, you've already vastly improved the deck. Okay, now that I've gotten that out of my system, this is what the free Gholdengo EX deck for all of 2025 looks like. Like an Ursaluna's skeleton, it's fairly bare bones. That's good because it means the strategy is straightforward and simple. Though with the inclusions of Cypher Maniac's Codebreaking and Levincia, things can be a little tough to master for brand new players. While fairly weak at just 260 hit points, Gholdengo EX can deal massive damage. For a single metal energy, it does 50 damage times the number of energy you discard from your hand. Get rid of 7 energy, you're one-shotting Dragapult, Charizard, and anything else with 350 or less HP. To get the energy out of the deck, you play Energy Search Pro as your ace spec. Arven Searchable, it allows you to get one of any number of different types of basic energy. There's 8 different types of basic energy available, so this one card potentially allows you to get a medal to fulfill Gholdengo's attack cost, plus 7 more to deal 350 damage. Yeah, it's kinda crazy. In order to recover that energy you keep discarding, the deck runs Superior Energy Retrieval and Levincia. By getting rid of 2 cards from hand, Superior Energy Retrieval allows you to get back up to 4 energy from the discard pile. Levincia, meanwhile, only allows you to recover Lightning Energy, which is why the deck plays 3. So it's a great idea to prioritize ditching Lightning Energy above all else, as it's the easiest to recycle. But what about Cypher Maniac's Codebreaking? This supporter allows you to put any 2 cards on top of your deck. And Gholdengo's ability either draws you 1 or 2 cards depending on where it is. So you can put whatever 2 cards you need on top of your deck, then immediately draw into them if you have a Gholdengo in the active. It's definitely a high skill card, as you'll have to know exactly the 2 cards you need in each situation. Most likely it will be an energy recovery card or another Gholdengo or maybe even a Fezandipiti so you can draw more cards. Whatever you do, keep in mind that Gholdengo is very one note and needs to win the prize trade. Against someone like Raging Bull, you have to make sure that you take the first 2 prize KO. If they knock out a Gimme Duel, who cares? That's just a single prize card and they still have to knock out 3 Gholdengo to win. If you can loop 2 prize KOs for the next 3 turns, you'll win the game, as they'll still have 1 prize card remaining. Things can get a little stressful with Gholdengo, but so long as you get to 4 prize cards before them, your odds of winning go way up. Which is why you might think Togekiss is such a great card. Yeah, at one point it was a lot of fun, but you can't rely on coin flips to win. With Togekiss in play, whenever your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out, you flip a coin. If it's heads, you get an extra prize card. That's great, except when you flip 10 tails in a row and realize you just wasted 4 slots in your deck for a useless card. I'm not going to tell you not to play it because it's hilarious when it works. I'll just point you towards some much better partners. You know the drill, Burr. This is the free Gholdengo list. Take out the Togekiss line, add in the new Gimme Duel, make a few other changes, and boom, now you have a competitive Gholdengo deck. As per usual, I tried to keep it as close to the free version as possible. The 2/2 Dunsparce line is free thanks to the Greninja deck. The 4 Gimme Duel costs just 160 credits, while the 1/1 Scizor line is 500 credits. In total, it's a mere 660 credits to upgrade the starter version. Scizor is an extremely important card for Gholdengo because its biggest weakness is Mimikyu. Safeguard protects Mimikyu against attacks from Pokemon EX. Gholdengo is your only attacker, and it's an EX. Scizor gives you a single prize attacker who can one-shot Mimikyu. And in other matchups against ability-heavy decks, Scizor can take some meaningful KOs. Cornerstone Masked Ogerpon will still be a major problem though, so hope that they prize it. As for the Dunsparce, it's more card draw. 4 Gholdengo in play means you can drop to 5 every turn. That's good, not great. The Dunsparce gives you another draw of 3 and puts itself safely back into the deck, ready to be used again later. Because you already have Dunsparce, a copy of the Dunsparce EX isn't a terrible idea. It will set you back 600 credits, but it gives you another attacker. Best of all, the Dunsparce doesn't discard energy. You won't use it in every matchup as its damage is based on the amount of EXs they have in play, but against someone like Raging Bolt, it can easily take a KO. The only other suggestion I have is Munkidori. A single copy has made its way into the most successful Gholdengo lists, able to help you out in a few matchups, including Dragapult. Obviously, Dusknoir throws a wrench into things, but Dragapult doesn't one-shot Gholdengo, so you will typically have a spare energy attachment to give to Munkidori. Send 2 damage counters to their Dragapult, now it's set up for a KO with 6 energy, not 7. Again, a very high skill card, so don't feel like it's necessary. Otherwise, just mess around with accounts of the Dunsparce and Scizor and see which one you enjoy fingering the most. I'm going to end the video with Hydreigon EX. I know that Mamoswine, Greninja, and Pikachu are also included in the free starter decks, but it's not worth covering them. For Mamoswine, it's not out yet. I'll have a gameplay video up soon though, likely featuring Blaziken EX and Garganacl as the energy accelerators to see which one is best. You'll be able to find lists in the description of that video which you can import into live and craft any cards you may be missing. Until then, just enjoy the free version and see how it goes. For Greninja, it's pretty far off what a Greninja deck should look like. You either want to cut out the Baxcalibur and make a true Greninja deck, or cut out the Greninja and make a Chien-Pao deck. It cost a decent amount of trade credits to make the changes, so I left it out. And for Pikachu, I mean, people on Twitter said the Pokemon Company was cooking with this list. I disagree. You basically have to remove everything except Pikachu and start from scratch. At the very least, you get 3 Blaziken EX for free, which is about the nicest thing I can say about this deck. Anyways, Hydreigon EX. While it's a bit of a hodgepodge featuring Blissey EX, Glass Trumpet, and Revavroom, like Scarlet Witch in her dreams, I can see the vision. At the same time, with just 3 Arven and 2 Iono, you're going nowhere fast unless you get an amazing start. So a lot of changes will need to be made. Luckily, most of the cards you need are already free thanks to the other starter decks. First though, these are the main cards in the default build. Revavroom discards an energy from hand to draw you up to 6, Glass Trumpet attaches energy from your discard pile to Chansey or Blissey if Hydreigon's in play, Blissey moves that energy to Hydreigon, and Hydreigon is your main attacker. Even to play a build focused on these Pokemon, it would take quite a bit of work. Which is why, as difficult as it may be, you want to send Blissey and Revavroom to the Lost Zone. Both of Hydreigon's attacks are useful. For a Darkness and a Colorless, Crashing Butthead does 200 damage and mills 3 cards from your opponent's deck. There's definitely luck involved, but getting rid of 3 of their cards is rarely a bad thing. Then we have Obsidian. For a Psychic, Darkness, Metal, and Colorless, it does 130 to their active and 130 to 2 of their bench Pokemon. Protecting bench Pokemon will be tough until the end of May when Shaman arrives. This means Hydreigon can easily do things like snipe 2 benched or Cloak, helping you win against Dragapult. And with 330 hit points, there's a chance Hydreigon survives, allowing you to do it again. Just remember that Terra Pokemon have a built-in bench barrier, so don't try sniping a bench Terra with Obsidian. It won't work. I should know, I still make that mistake. On purpose, of course, to help new players learn the ruling. To launch Obsidian, it's not easy, but Hydreigon's list is designed to make it happen. Neo Upper Energy is the A-spec, providing 2 energy of any type to Hydreigon. Crispin can accelerate an energy and put another into your hand, and Counter Gain reduces Hydreigon's attack cost by 1 colorless if you're behind on prizes. Most of the time you'll be relying on Crashing Headbutt, but you should always try to build up to an Obsidian at least once per game. In order to make this deck work properly, you have to rely on our old friend Pidgeot EX. Thanks to the Charizard starter deck you already own too. Get it into play, grab any card you want from your deck turn after turn. Additionally, chuck in that copy of Fezandipiti you already have for more card draw. The first card you'll have to craft is 1 Pecharunt EX. Its ability prevents you from being stalled out, switching your active with a bench Darkness Pokemon. You will get poisoned as a result, but that does allow you to throw in Binding Mochi, which boosts the damage of poison Pokemon by 40. And at the end of a game, Irritated Outburst can deal up to 300 damage. Unfortunately, no matter how many improvements you make, out of the 5 decks shown off in this video, Hydreigon takes the most credits and overall is the least best. The problem compared to the strongest Stage 2 decks is that it doesn't have that added layer of spice. Where Dragapult has your Cloak to draw cards and Charizard accelerates energy, Hydreigon is just Hydreigon. It simply doesn't do enough to justify its existence as a top tier deck, and you'll potentially abandon it after a few games. If that's the case, you can always try a Xatu build. You'll have to craft Lily's Clefairy EX and a few other cards, but it gives you an energy accelerator and card drawer in Xatu. Otherwise, it's fairly similar to the previous version. Like every other deck featured in this video, there's a list you can copy and paste into TCG Live in the description. The cards you don't own can be crafted with a few taps, making the whole process fairly painless. Here's a quick overview of how many trade credits it costs to do the base upgrades for each of the 2025 starter decks in Pokemon TCG Live. As you can see, all the best ones cost less than 1,000 trade credits. I did include a note at the bottom about how buying 2 of the Shadow Rider VMAX lead battle decks from the in-game shop for 5,000 trainer points nets you nearly 3,000 trade credits. That sentence will make very little sense to new players, so I suggest checking out my starter guide linked in the description for more details on credit farming. As I mentioned in my starter decks ranking video, the top 4 of Raging Bolt, Dragapult, Charizard, and Gholdengo are much better than the bottom 4 of Hydreigon, Mamoswine, Pikachu, and Greninja. So if you want to build the best decks for as few trade credits as possible, focus on the top 4. And that'll do it. If you have any questions, ask away in the comments. Or feel free to check me out live on Twitch at 2 p.m. Pacific most days, where I'll be happy to take your questions.